So today I went out and threw, and prior to that, I did some extensive warm up with some very deliberate movements, some very deliberate exercises to really get loosened up. I took about 35, 40 minutes to get loose. I started with some foam rolling and self myofascial release with some on some of the areas of mine that are problematic. And just to give everybody a background on this, I'm 41 years old. I have two herniated discs in my neck, and I do have pathology in my shoulder. I have two tears in my rotator cuff. I've got tears in my labrum. I've got fraying of my bicep tendon, and I do have a cyst in there, along with some other things. So there's been issues, and I've been dealing with these issues actually now for about 24 years. They started to creep up when I was 17, and I played college ball with all of that, and it's just continuously been an on and off battle. But today I took time, I did that. I went through what felt good for me, my warm up, which included J-bands after some yoga. I did some ground-based stuff for my shoulder blades. I used the Chad Longworth spinner. I did some plyo drills that really helped open me up. And then I played catch with both of my daughters. And the thing that I wanted to talk about is taking time, coaches understanding the importance of warm-ups. And the reason being is I've been throwing a little bit more lately, and I throw with my daughters, but I've been trying to get some time a couple of times a week to do some very specific stuff for me, just to feel some things out, which I like to do from time to time. And today I had some extra time to really get loosened up. And there was just I know Alan Jaeger has said this, a visceral feeling when you do it the right way. My arm felt almost like its own entity. And when I started playing catch, I was just so loose. I was so in tune with the entire right side of my body, which is the arm I throw with, that I felt like I almost didn't use my arm to play catch today with my daughters. And my oldest daughter, we got out pretty far with the softball, probably 125 feet. And I really felt like my arm was doing no work at all. And the importance of that, not only with the warm-up, is understanding how that the proprioception that you get acutely and long-term from proper arm care and proper development of the tissue in the arm is that you can go through things with this feeling, and you can just kind of let that arm do its own thing. Now, as the arm's doing its own thing, now you can focus on different aspects of how the feel is. So for me, what I noticed with some video a couple weeks ago is that I was getting nearly zero layback. And part of that was flexibility and mobility. I hadn't trained that in a long time. The other part of it was that I was rushing from abduction and layback into adduction and release. And part of that was due to flexibility issues in my thoracic spine and my hips. But the other part of it was that as soon as I started rotating, I was engaging my throwing arm and adducting and engaging my pec too soon. I wasn't using the muscles around my scapula to hold that back more. So today, some of the drills I used to warm up specifically targeted that area and the musculature around my shoulder blade. One, with the foam rolling and self myofascial release to loosen that up so I could feel it more. Two, was to use that shoulder blade to contract, co-contract, to isometrically contract, to contract eccentrically and concentrically, all of that to feel it through and develop a better mind-muscle connection to that. Once I was able to do that, the drills I used specifically were used to engage that and create stretch in my pec as I started to rotate. And as I was warming up and continuously thinking about that and being very intentional with that, not only did it open everything up on the front side, not only did it awaken the muscles on the back side, but I could feel where I needed to engage the shoulder blade and the muscles around there to get more into layback. And then as I started to play catch, I could feel that. I could feel the layback happen and occur. And I was able to use my body basically to do all of the work, and my arm just went along for the ride. And that's what you want, especially when you're trying to lengthen things out and do long toss, as Alan Jager talks about, that's also what you want to do when you're trying to learn how to engage the whole body and let the arm go for the ride, as Ben Brewster talks about, where it's Mozart, Mozart, Metallica. And if I was in a longer stage of me throwing out, if I was further along, or I had partners where I could really lengthen it out, I think that I could have really pulled down a little bit more and used my arm less and actually thrown harder because of my body. With that all said, the importance of this talk is that coaches need to understand, players especially, you need to understand, because this is your career. You need to understand what works for you to get loose. You need to take the time to get loose properly. Just grabbing a ball and starting to throw is not going to do it. No matter what I do, as much as I'm in tune with my body, as much as I teach this stuff, as many kids as I've worked with throughout the years, if I just grab a ball and start throwing, my arm takes over. When I do it the right way, when I use some kind of preparation to activate my musculature, to activate my fascia, to activate my nervous system through self-myofascial release or foam rolling, through movement prep, through exercises, through band work, through oscillation drills with a shoulder tube or a spinner, through plyos, what that does is it opens everything up so I can feel everything working. And that's really what we need to do. If you think about what Crash Davis said in Bull Durham when he was talking about, or Nuke LaLoosh rather, talking about breathing out of his eyelids like the lava lizards of the Galapagos Islands or whatever, that actually is a really good saying I like, because that's talking about being more in tune with your body, living in the moment. But we can't do that if we're not opening everything up, if we're not feeling everything from the beginning of our warm-up all the way through the first time when we touch that ball. And that ball, when we start to throw, that's just part of our entire process, our entire workout, our entire routine. That's just one little piece of it. The warm-up to it, all of the training modalities we use to prep our body to throw, the actual warm-up of throwing the ball, the long toss or the bullpen or whatever it is, and then the cool down and the recovery, that is all part of the process. And if we really want to maximize our ability and we really want to maximize the life of our arm and the longevity of our arm and the performance of our arm, we need to make sure we're warming up properly prior to even getting a ball in our hand.